and welcome to my second 31 Days of Halloween recap. And to recap, I am tired. Like, really tired. Today has been bad. I'm on day 9. It's just after 10 o'clock, so we're going into day 10, and I have really slacked off today. Movie fatigue has officially kicked in. I am extremely exhausted. I'm finding it very hard to focus on the movies that I'm watching because I just want to sleep. I have been sleeping longer. I wake up and I want to go back to sleep. Today I took several naps. So there was one film I was watching, and even though I had already seen it, I didn't really remember it. And I wasn't really paying any attention because I just kind of kept closing my eyes. So that didn't go very well. I also just got back about an hour ago from this month's Flicks with the Chicks event. I went and saw Hustlers, so I took a break from watching movies to go to the movies. What? That's my life. So yeah, I've really slacked off today. Since waking up, I've only watched 2 films. Technically 3, but 2 were marathon movies, and that's put me a little bit behind schedule, so did babysitting my niece. But I figured I don't want to sit down and watch another movie right now, so I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just record this recap. So today I'm recapping from, kind of continuing on from the last recap. So today we're doing number 30 to, I don't know, whatever number I've decided we're going up to. So let's begin. At number 30 was Crawl, a 2019 American disaster horror film directed by Alexandre Aja and written by Michael and Sean Rasmussen. It follows a daughter and father who, along with their dog, are hunted by alligators after becoming trapped in their home during a Category 5 hurricane. I think this is a great disaster movie, but it's not doing it for me as a horror film. I didn't feel tension or suspense, and it never made me jump. While I know this isn't inspired by a real event, I felt the way the alligators were depicted was a bit unrealistic and made it hard to take seriously. It was interesting to watch just to see characters being so intelligent and determined to get themselves out of their situation that they never gave up and they kept looking for a way out. But when it comes to being horror, I just wasn't feeling it. I think the only moment that affected me was watching the dad set his own leg. Besides that, it was just a nice film to watch just to see how the characters get through it. Number 31 is Creepshow, a 1982 American horror comedy anthology film directed by George A. Romero with a screenplay by Stephen King in his screenwriting debut. It tells 5 terrifying tales based on the EC horror comic books of the 1950s. Well, this was awfully entertaining. It depicts the essence of horror while being an easy and fun watch. It's a great popcorn flick, a film you can just sit back on the couch alone or with others and watch while you munch on some popcorn. Oddly enough, I found this film quite relaxing. Number 32, Creepshow 2, a 1987 American horror comedy anthology film directed by Michael Gornick with a screenplay by George A. Romero and Lucille Fletcher. A sequel to the 1982 film, it sees 3 more bone-chilling tales that include a vengeful wooden Native American, a monstrous blob in a lake, and a hitchhiker who wants revenge and will not die. This was nowhere near as enjoyable as the first film, and just one too many moments that made me go, did they just do that? I mean, an Irish dude playing a Native American, a guy sexually assaulting his asleep friend while they're in the middle of being attacked and stranded, a guy yelling, hey, he's a black guy for no reason, just little things that were not at all necessary, and the stories just weren't very good either. Number 33, Creepshow 3, a 2006 American horror film directed by Anna Clavel and James Duddleson, written by Clavel, Duddleson, Scott Frizzelli, Pablo C. Papano, and Alex Uglo, if I got any of those names right. Good on me, if not, oh well. This second sequel to the 1982 film features 5 new tales of horror: Alice, the Radio, Call Girl, The Professor's Wife, and Haunted Dog. This one was just stupid and boring, worse than the last one. It's stuff like this why I almost counted out anthology films. Number 34, The Crow, a 1994 American superhero film directed by Alex Proyas and written by David J. Shaw and John Shirley, based on James O'Barr's comic book of the same name. It tells the story of Eric Draven, a rock musician who was revived from the dead to avenge his own death, as well as the rape and murder of his fiancée. I was never familiar with the comics, but I never tire of this film. It's just an incredible film with a gripping story. It's brutal and relentless and confronting, but through the pain and violence, there's a story about finding peace. The score to this film is incredible. It's tragic, but at the same time, it almost sounds like I don't know. I mean, if I had to describe it, I'd describe it as like that feeling like when the clouds part and the sun finally comes out, like, I don't know. That's what the music sounds like to me, if that makes any sense. It's a tragic film, only made more tragic when you reflect on how Brandon Lee died due to an accident on set, and this was his last film. I hope wherever he is, he found peace. We missed out on an amazing career from a talented actor. Number 35, The Crow, City of Angels, is a 1996 American supernatural superhero film directed by Tim Pope with a screenplay by David S. Goyer. It's the second installment in the Crow film series and sees the spirit of the Crow resurrect another man seeking revenge for the murder of his son. They wanted to make it like the first film, but it isn't. Yeah, it has similarities, but they're stupid similarity choices. There is nothing to like about this movie. It's just a god-awful film and story. Even trying to tie it to the first film was dumb, and I'm sorry, I've enjoyed Vincent Perez in many things, especially Queen of the Damned, but he was dreadful in this. And I think it's unfortunate this wasn't probably going to butcher her first name. I'm so sorry. But Thuy Trang's last film before she died, oh god, there's a pattern here. It seems like she only did this to change her nice Power Ranger image, but it was just bad. Even the whole Sarah thing was just stupid. So much of this was stupid. This film felt far less of a film about the Crow and much more a film about bondage porn and torture. But is that really shocking when you consider that most of the choices made for the film were made by the producers, and the producers were the Weinstein brothers? I'm just playing. Number 36, The Crow Salvation, a 2000 American supernatural superhero film directed by Bharat Nalduri and written by Chip Johannesson. It's the third installment in the Crow film series, and its plot is loosely based on Poppy Z. Bright's The Crow Through Lazarus' Heart. In it, Alex Corvus returns to the world of the living to solve the murder of a young woman that he was wrongfully accused of. I honestly enjoyed this sequel far more than the last one. Had a really great story, and I enjoyed how it played out because it's not just about revenge, but it's about the character trying to figure out who killed his girlfriend and framed him. So I had a good time with this one. I did not enjoy the soundtrack though. I was also not a fan of the Crow makeup. It looked less like the Crow and more like the Joker. But seriously, why do these sequels include so much bondage porn? Number 37, The Crow, Wicked Prayer, a 2005 American supernatural superhero film directed by Lance Mungia with a screenplay by Mungia, Jeff Moss, and Sean Hood. It's the fourth installment in the Crow film series and is inspired by Norman Patridge's novel of the same name. In this film, on his way to becoming an immortal demon, a gang leader orchestrates the murder of an ex-con and his girlfriend. It isn't the worst Crow sequel, but it sure as heck ain't the best. Just some directions in this film that were a bad idea, like really bad idea. And culturally, it's a mess. Christianity, Satanism, not the real kind, Native American law, all brought together for a shitstorm. Are the casts meant to be Native American or Mexican? Because I can't tell. Because every time someone refers to someone as being Native American, the character is played either by someone who is Mexican, Moroccan, Canadian, Jewish, or a Kiwi. I will say this was, despite the quality of the film, a good time period for Tara Reid because she had her problems. There are things I like and things I don't, so it's okay. Number 38, Curtains, a 1983 Canadian slasher film directed by Richard Chiuka and Peter R. Simpson and written by Robert Guza Jr. Its plot focuses on a group of actresses auditioning for a role in a movie at a prestigious director's mansion where they are targeted by a masked killer. It's a pretty decent slasher film. I just didn't find it very engaging. I think I would have to give it a second watch before I came to a solid conclusion on how I feel about it. It does make you question ever wanting to become an actress though. Number 39, Dark Was the Night, also known as Monster Hunter or Monster Hunt. I keep getting that confused. It's a 2014 American thriller film directed by Jack Haller and written by Tyler Hizzle. In it, an evil is unleashed in a small town when a logging company sets up shop in the neighboring woods. It's an interesting little monster flick. I honestly liked it much better before they showed us what the creature looked like because the design looked rather alien and unrealistic. I thought it would say it was like a Wendigo, which would have been cool. I did like how the events of this film all occur because of deforestation that drives the creature from its natural habitat, where it wasn't hurting anybody, to now being driven into town where it slaughters people. I mean, it's a cool little flick. Number 40, Death House, a 2017 American horror film directed by Harrison Smith and written by Smith and Gunnar Hansen. In it, during an exclusive tour, a power breakdown inside a secret prison known as the Death House sends two agents fighting through a labyrinth of horrors while being pursued by a ruthless army of roaming inmates. As they fight to escape, the agents push towards the lowest depths of the facility where they learn a supernatural group of evil beings is their only chance for survival. So honestly, I didn't love this film and I was a bit confused for majority of the film, but whether I like this or not is irrelevant. I 100% recommend this film to all horror movie lovers, as I don't think I've ever seen such a large selection of iconic horror actors in one movie. There was Tony Todd, Bill Moseley, Kane Hodder, Gunnar Hansen, Dean Wallace, Barbara Crampton, the late Sid Haig, Michael Berryman, Tony Moran, and that's just naming a few. They even had a character called Leather Lace who was basically a female Leatherface. It was awesome. I completely admit I was fangirling every time one of them made an appearance. So for the ensemble alone, horror lovers should check this film out. Only person they were missing was like Robert Englund. Sad that it wasn't released until after Hansen's death, but it was nice they dedicated it to him. Number 41, The Devil's Dolls, originally titled Worry Dolls, a 2016 horror film directed by Petrag Reynolds and written by Danny Kolka and Christopher Wheel. It follows a detective that must find a way to free his daughter from the influence of cursed worry dolls that cause their owners to commit horrific crimes. I quite enjoyed this. There wasn't as much going on story-wise as I would have liked, and I never did understand why the killer at the start was murdering people in the first place, but I still liked it. It's a well-made little horror film, really good for people who aren't good with horror but still want to watch it. Plus Sarah Winchester and the snake dude from Charmed are in it, which helps, well at least helps me. And the guy who plays the snake dude from Charmed who is in this movie is also one of the writers, which is pretty cool. Number 42, I nearly said 1942, is Devil's Pass, originally titled The Dyatlov Pass Incident, a 2013 Russian-British found footage horror film directed by Rennie Harlan and written by Vikram Wheat. In it, a group of 5 students go to the location of the infamous Dyatlov Pass incident to make a documentary, but things take a turn for the worse to reveal the secrets as to what happened there. As a found footage film, I don't hate it, which is saying a lot, so props to that, but I feel this film has 2 different tones. First, it was reminding me of the 2016 film The Devil Complex, which makes me think maybe that film took inspiration from this. First, it's interesting and you're thinking the story is either government conspiracy or mystery of the world type thing, but then the third act goes in a strange sci-fi direction I wasn't expecting, where we have teleportation, time travel and wormholes, and I just don't know what to make of it. Also, the trying to throw in a sex scene is stupid. Anyone getting naked in negative 50 degrees Celsius weather is not going to be having a good time, as those tents aren't well insulated, so including that was pointless. Nevertheless, I was enjoying the mystery of the film, but then when we ended up with time travel, my head just hurt, and now I don't know what to make of it. Number 43, Dismissed, a 2017 American horror thriller film directed by Benjamin Arfman and written by Brian McGooley. In it, an idealistic straight-edge teacher is drawn down a horrid rabbit hole by an honors student when he gives him a B+ on a paper. I define a good horror or thriller film as a film that is capable of creating strong, almost primal responses in its viewer, like fear, anxiety, disgust, things of that nature. So with that said, I think this film did a fantastic job. Dylan Sprouse gave a very realistic performance of a psychopath, and it was scary. You know there are no rules with a psychopath, nothing they won't do, no line they won't cross to get what they want. So knowing this had my anxiety in full effect, worried at every moment of what horrible thing this character might do next, what ways he can destroy his teacher's life. It was freaking me out. It's always very impressive when a film with so little can do so much, and this film did. I mean, it was great stuff, and wow, 1 minute Sprouse is on the sweet life on deck, takes a break for 6 years and comes back like this. I'm mighty impressed. Especially got to give it to Kent Osborne, who plays Mr. Butler. You feel his suffering and you just want to, help him out, so wonderful job. Number 44 is Doom, a 2005 British-American-German Chechen science fiction action horror film directed by Andrzej Bartokwi. I can't do these names! With a screenplay by David Callman and Wesley Strick, loosely based on the video game series of the same name created by ID Software. The film follows a group of Marines in a research facility on Mars. After arriving on a rescue and retrieval mission, after communication ceased, the Marines soon battled genetically engineered monsters plaguing the facility. I thought this would be really dumb and cheesy and kind of goofy. Turned out it was a blast. I mean, interesting story, great pacing, interesting characters, some you could live without, but they die, so that's okay. And this was back when The Rock still had a neck, so that's interesting. All in all, awesome ride, would definitely watch it again, and it makes me want to go play the game if I had the software to do so, that is. Number 45, Downward Twin, also known as Twinsanity, a 2018 American horror thriller film directed by Buzz Wallach and written by Julian Browdy. In it, abandoning the yoga business she shares with her twin sister, Celeste sets out to forge her own identity, but her plans are derailed when her desperate twin stops at nothing to bring her home. There's a lot of potential here, but the film spends way too much time talking about yoga and having everyone do yoga than it does showing how toxic the relationship between our main characters is. There's never a real build-up to our bad twin snapping. She snaps at the first taste of conflict. There should have been a progression, but there wasn't one. Also find it weird how the good twin never confronts the bad twin on her crap, and her scar is bizarre. It's a permanently open wound on the back of her neck, not a scar. If doctors didn't stitch you up properly, then you should sue. I also don't think a recovering drug addict and alcoholic should be doing ayahuasca, but that's a different story and a different character. But, you know, anyway, it was kind of in the middle. Number 46, Drag Me to Hell, a 2009 American supernatural horror film directed by Sam Raimi and written by Sam Raimi and Ivan Raimi. Film focuses on a loan officer who, because she has to prove to her boss that she can make the hard decisions, chooses not to extend an elderly woman's mortgage. In retaliation, the woman places a curse on the loan officer that, after 3 days of escalating torment, will plunge her into the depths of hell to burn for all eternity. Okay, first of all, this film has an insane oral fixation. Everything involves something being put in or shoved down this girl's throat, and it was never not weird. I really don't understand why that kept happening, but it was grossing me out. But honestly, it's a solid supernatural horror film that delivers what it intended. It's creepy, gross, disgusting, and the ending is depressing as hell. I don't dislike its choices, acting, or filming, but I do dislike the principle. I don't like the fact that all this crap from start to finish is happening to a nice person who technically did nothing wrong. Story of the world, I guess. On a personal level, I just don't enjoy stories about bad things happening to good people, but on a film level, it's right on point. Number 47, The Endless, a 2017 American science fiction horror film directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead and written by Benson. The film tells the story of two brothers who visit an alleged cult they formerly belonged to. So this was a pretty full-on movie, if I do say so myself, and it's not one that can be easily reviewed. It's kind of the film you just have to watch and take in. It reminds me a great deal of Annihilation, but I think The Endless is far more interesting, and there's somehow more depth in its simplicity. It definitely isn't what it appears at first glance, and now has me very interested to see their film resolution. Number 48, Eraserhead, a 1977 American experimental body horror film written and directed by David Lynch. It tells the story of Henry Spencer, who is left to care for his grossly deformed child in a desolate industrial landscape. Yeah, I have no words. I can't rate this film. I couldn't rate this film because I have no idea what to say about it. It could definitely give you nightmares though. That's all I can say. Number 49, Event Horizon, a 1997 British-American science fiction horror film directed by Paul W.S. Anderson and written by Philip Eisner. It follows a crew of astronauts sent on a rescue mission after a missing spaceship, the Event Horizon, spontaneously appears in orbit around Neptune. Searching the ship for signs of life, the rescue crew learns that the Event Horizon was a test bed for an experimental engine that opened a rift in the space-time continuum and left our universe entirely, allowing a hostile entity to possess the ship. I really enjoyed this, and after watching it, I'm convinced Ghost Ship took a lot of inspiration from Event Horizon, as a great deal of the plot and series of events are extremely similar, while not identical as they are different subject matters, but how the events begin and unfold do mirror each other. Not a bad thing, just interesting. I've never seen Sam Neill in a role like this before, and it was strange, but in a good way. His appearance at the end reminded me of Pinhead a bit. I found it to be a great sci-fi horror flick. I just wish I had a better understanding of what exactly happened to the ship and what the entity was. Number 50, Exam, a 2009 British psychological thriller film directed by Stuart Hazeldine and written by Hazeldine and Simon Garrity. In it, 8 candidates for a highly desirable corporate job are locked together in an exam room and given a final test with just one question. It seems simple yet confusing that soon tension begins to unravel. I was expecting this film to be like Saw and Cube and House of Nine, where it's all about subjecting people trapped in a room to severe psychological and physical torture. Shows I probably watch too much of that stuff. It's my go-to assumption. This was actually an interesting film with a nice conclusion that isn't about hurting others or some rich guys getting kicks out of human suffering, but it's about using extreme measures to find someone smart, compassionate, and can work with others and wants to help others. Something that is hard to find these days. Basically, I really enjoyed this movie. Number 51, Exorcist, House of Evil, a 2016 American horror thriller film written and directed by David Trotty. Anna, a young woman, returns to her old family home, the site of an infamous exorcism, and discovers the devil never left. For a low-budget film, it's actually very well acted and made, and in those regards I was impressed. But there's nothing interesting or scary about it. It relies on overused techniques that have run their course and use false advertising to get people interested. The film promotes itself by claiming to have been filmed in the real house that inspired the book and film The Exorcist. But anyone with Google can find out that isn't real. This film says the house and exorcism took place in St. Louis, Missouri, but regardless of whether you believe an exorcism or possession ever took place, the people of the story were real and they lived in Cottage City, Maryland. Though many at the time said the story took place in Mount Rainier, Maryland, but that was debunked. So while this film tries to be about the real story behind The Exorcist and claims to be filmed in the real house, it wasn't, and all its facts come from rumors and stories, and all the ones that made it into this film were proven false years ago. They even used the name of one of the real priests from the real case, a priest who admitted a lot of what people said never happened. This film is bogus and fake, but it is pretending to be legit, even claiming it used real spiritual audio captured in the house. Yeah, and I'm Jar Jar Gabor. Number 52, The Exorcist, a 1973 American supernatural horror film directed by William Friedkin with a screenplay by William Peter Blatty, adapted from Blatty's 1971 novel of the same name. It follows the demonic possession of a 12-year-old girl and her mother's attempt to rescue her through an exorcism conducted by 2 priests. This will always be a classic and iconic film. Linda Blair gives one of the most incredible performances, only made more incredible when you factor in her age at the time. There are a handful of scores that have become famous, even among those who haven't seen their films. The score for this film by Jack Nitzsche is just pure perfection. You hear that melody and you know exactly what film you're watching, and it just gives you chills. I've seen this film so many times and it never fails to be a hell of a watch. Number 53, Exorcist 2, The Heretic, a 1977 American horror film directed by John Boorman and written by William Goddard. The second installment in the Exorcist franchise, the film is set 4 years after the original film and centers on the now 16-year-old Regan McNeil, who is still recovering from her previous demonic possession. If I'm honest, which I always am, I always kind of liked this film. I never hated it like so many do. I think the plot is a bit overloaded and could use a few less characters, but on the whole, I get a kick out of it, mostly because it tries to create more of a backstory and mythology to the demon of the series, and I like when films do that. I like that the demon has an agenda beyond just possessing and fucking up little girls. That ending, admittedly, not so great and goes a bit off the edge for my taste, but before you hate me for liking it, just know Martin Scorsese liked this film almost more than the first film, so if I have shit taste, so does he. I also believe the score is, well, kind of awful. It uses so many different styles and tones, and they never really sync together. It's a shame to go from a fantastic score from the first film to this. Part of the score sounds like it belongs in Kill Bill. Also, I really want Reagan's apartment because it looks awesome. Number 54, The Exorcist 3, a 1990 American horror film directed and written by William Peter Blatty, based on Blatty's 1983 novel Legion, and is the third installment in the Exorcist franchise. Set 17 years after the original film and ignoring the events of Exorcist 2, The Heretic, it follows a character from the first film, Lieutenant William F. Kinderman, who investigates a series of demonic murders in Georgetown that have the hallmarks of the Gemini, a deceased serial killer. I do enjoy this film, and I think it has a very interesting plot. However, I think the studio was wrong to force this film to be connected to the first film, and I think it was wrong to bring Karis back from the dead just to be possessed. I think all the elements of the story involving Pazuzu were a bad choice, and then including the exorcism stuff was also bad simply because the priest performing them came out of nowhere. How did he know where to be and why? It made no sense and was a dumb inclusion forced by the studio. I enjoyed the story of the Gemini killer and how he operates and how he's back from the dead to continue killing. That's fascinating. And on top of that, this film has two of the best horror shots to appear in a horror film. They are freaky as hell. Even when you know they're coming, they're still quite scary. I mean, overall, this is a really enjoyable film. But what is with all these films naming their serial killers Gemini? I've seen that happen in way too many films now. Well, why not Aquarius? Why not Scorpio? Do we not matter to you people? Number 55, Exorcist the Beginning, a 2004 American supernatural horror film directed by Rennie Harlan, from a screenplay by Alexi Hawley, from a story by William Wisher Jr. and Caleb Carr. It is the fourth installment in the Exorcist franchise and a prequel to 1973's The Exorcist. Years before Father Lancaster Merrin helped save Reagan McNeil's soul, he first encounters the demon Pazuzu in East Africa. It's quite an interesting origin story with some great mythological aspects to it, but one too many of those aspects contradicts the original story, and so at that point it becomes a bit confusing. There are some good performances and some interesting and disturbing imagery that I liked. It's a decent film, but not a very good prequel. I like to pretend it has no association with the original film. Also, this film's use of green screen was kind of funny. Number 56, Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist, a 2005 American supernatural horror film directed by Paul Schrader and written by William Wisher Jr. and Caleb Carr. It's the fifth installment in the Exorcist franchise, where in it, years before Father Lancaster Merrin helped save Reagan McNeil's soul, he first encounters the demon Pazuzu in East Africa. I feel like I just said that. I'm aware this film was praised and preferred over Harlan's version, but I liked Harlan's better. With this version, I felt there were too many unnecessary scenes and some scenes that just went on for far too long, causing me to lose almost all interest in the film. I also felt a great many of the performances were weak. It's also strange hearing the same dialogue from the other film but given to different characters in this version, and somehow in this version, those bits of dialogue, perhaps due to the actors delivering them, just didn't have the same impact. This film was 2 hours, but it felt like 4. I wasn't enjoying it. It just felt boring, stupid, and disinteresting, and the fuck was that third act? Number 57, Final Prayer, also known as The Borderlands, a 2013 British found footage horror film written and directed by Elliot Goldner in his directorial debut. In it, a team of Vatican investigators descends upon a church in a remote area to demystify the unusual happenings, but what they discover is more disturbing than they had first imagined. I hate found footage films. If you know me, you know I've said that more than a few times, but I really enjoyed this film. Logically well thought out plot and footage design where the use of cameras and recording day-to-day activities actually makes sense. It even had a few moments that did make me jump, and I found the atmosphere of the film come off as genuinely creepy. Great stuff. I'm very impressed, which is hard to do with a found footage film, so this says a lot, but I do wish the events of the film had a better explanation, but it's still really, really good. Number 58, The Final Wish, a 2018 American mystery horror film directed by Timothy Woodard Jr. and with a screenplay by Jeffrey Reddick, William Haffen, and Jonathan Doyle, from a story by Reddick. After the death of his father, Aaron returns home to help his grief-stricken mother and to confront his past. Going through his dad's belongings, he comes across a mysterious item that is more than it seems. Not even a couple horror icons could make this film interesting. Wishes going wrong, an evil djinn. Wishmaster did that back in the 90s and did it way better. Or was it the 80s? I think it was the 90s. Anyway, that's not the point. Magic box that grants wishes but badly. Yeah, we had Wish Upon and that wasn't great either. This one is far more boring than that. Honestly, nothing all that interesting happens and the way the events unfold doesn't make much sense. And number 59, hashtag follow me. Anything that has a hashtag in its title should go to hell. Anyway, it's a 2019 British-American horror thriller film directed and written by Sam Hardy. In it, 3 British women from London, consisting of a YouTuber and her 2 friends, go missing from a motel in California while traveling from Los Angeles to San Francisco after posting on social media using the hashtag #FollowMe. So, 1 hour and 8 minutes. Nothing of interest or value happens for a full 1 hour and 8 minutes, and this film only goes for 1 hour and 28. Technically 24 if you cut out the credits. 1 hour and 8 minutes. Nothing of interest or value happens for a full 1 hour and 8 minutes, and this film only goes for 1 hour and 28 minutes. Technically an hour and 24 if you take out the credits. So 1 hour of 3 of the most obnoxious women I've ever seen saying babe every 5 seconds, drinking, doing drugs, talking about screwing and screwing random guys. That's not a film. That's just nothing. There's only anything in the last 10 minutes, and it's a good 10 minutes. But to wait all that time and that's all I get isn't worth it. Might as well have been a short film. This is the kind of found footage film I hate. This is why I have issues with the genre. I get the vlogging stuff, but why are you recording while your friends are fighting? You turn the camera off. Why are you recording when a friend wakes you up? And really, you're about to die, so you put sad music on? Seriously? Yeah, let's set the mood and perform for the camera. Just an absolute waste of time. But I will admit that the performances were good. But that's it. Woohoo! We did it! Hallelujah! So, I have finally completed 31 Days of Halloween Recap Part 2. So, I guess I'm gonna go sit down and watch 4 movies. Oh god. Is this month over yet? I'm dying. And I'm losing my voice. Oh my god. So, if you have been doing 31 Days, Horror, Halloween, October, whatever the hell you want to call it, comment down below and tell me some of the films that you have been watching, or maybe you can recommend me some. I'm not going to watch it this year because I already have a set list, but you can recommend me some that maybe I'll watch next year. But anyway, if you want to continue to follow my progress with my marathon, you can follow me on social media. I post little reviews about each film that I am watching after I've watched them. Sorry to if I'm annoying anybody, but anyway, or you can just subscribe and hit the notification bell, and you will find out when I upload next recap videos. I have more Spooktober themed videos coming this month, so keep an eye out for those. But anyway, I'm tired. I'm so tired. But I'm gonna go and watch Fright Night 2. And I don't mean the actual second film, I mean the sequel to the remake. I gotta go watch that now. I didn't even know they did a sequel to that one. God damn it. Anyway, thank you again for watching this video. Thank you as always to my amazing patrons, and until next time, bye!